Oh, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you, as always, for being here, for showing up, stopping by, clicking the video. Maybe it's your first time here and you're like, I want to see what this bozo thinks about this album. Maybe it's your 1000th time here and you're like, I want to see what this bozo thinks about this album. Either way, appreciate you stopping on by. Today, we're going to do a full album listen for this Long Song Saturday of Curved Air. We have not listened to very much by them, and by not listened to very much by them, we've listened to one song by them back in 2020, 5 years ago, Metamorphosis. That's the only song we've heard from Curved Air, but I've seen their name pop up every once in a while in the comments, and I said, you know what? Let's dive on in. Let's just do a full album listen of one of their albums. So we're going to listen to this one, Phantasmagoria. This is their third studio album, released in 1972. We're listening to it because it had been recommended, or at least mentioned, by the following: Martin Parker, Hudson Valley VHS, Martin T, Martin Patterson, a lot of Martins involved here. Maybe all the Martins are getting together for suggesting this one. William George Frazier, let's see, Paul C, Martin Patterson again, and Stephen Frost. So you guys, thank you so much for the recommendation. So specifically, you all had mentioned this album. I found a lot of recommendations for other albums as well, and there wasn't an overly strong consensus on which album to listen to. But it did, I did notice this one popping up just a little bit more. But that just may be because that's what I saw. So that's why I chose this album out of, their different albums. But I know that there were quite a few mentions for many of their albums. So yeah, I've only listened to one song by them, so I don't really have a strong idea of the band, but we're going to get a slightly better idea of the band right now. Of course, as always, please, before we even dive into it, press the like button. It helps a long way. You don't have to, but of course you can support what I do on Patreon for as little as $2 a month. Subscribe if you haven't. Besides that, that's all I got for you. I have a double tea bagged cup of chai because I was trying to get this thing as strong as I can. It's not, I like that chai burning when it's going down my throat and it's not quite hitting that spot, but we'll sip on it anyway. All right. That's it. That's all I got for you. Without further ado, I took a sip before I even cheers to you guys. And let's go ahead and dive into the first song on the album, Curved Air, Phantasmagoria, and that's going to be Marie Antoinette. Let's not lose our heads over this. And as always, my friends, this sip is for you. Just kind of jumped in, huh? It's like a light folky proggy sound. Putting it down really nicely. It's a great sound. I love that synth behind as well. Listen to the bass. It's playing so much off of her singing. that guitar right out. I like how light the drumming is, but at the same time it has this like forward movement to it. Almost like a bluesy kind of direction. It's cutting through. It's a ramble.
They're coming to take the queen. Antoinette, the king and the gods have fled.
Love how it opens up. Guitar and the synth are just working off each other there. Shuffle another meter. Then go back to that riff. Gotcha. How dynamic it is too, shifting between the tempos. Just echoing like a seagull there at the end. Okay, I really enjoy their sound. Marie Antoinette. It has this, to me, almost folk, not metal, folk rock kind of sound to it, which sounds very elegant. It to me has a Renaissance kind of sound, if you take just the aspects musically, where it has this classical kind of sound to it. This one's not really symphonic, nothing like that, but it just has elements that feel like it. I'm loving how the musicians are playing off of each other here, specifically the synths, the keys, and then the guitar, because they're kind of, a lot of times, off doing their own thing. Of course, coming back to play with the music and with the rest of the group, but the way that they're playing off each other just sounds really nice. On the guitar here, you're going to have, and the keys, actually, it's performed by the same person, Francis Monkman from Sky. I remember his piano playing there. Like, I love the synth sound that comes in here. It's definitely very, like, of its time. It's very, 1970s. But I think that sound just kind of comes through so nice. It has this beautifully eerie sound, that whispery kind of like that kind of sound. It just sounds really good. And then Monkman's also playing the guitar in this track. And it's notable, especially when it gets into the second half, when the song kind of breaks down and goes into a almost more blues rock direction, but still carrying that classical-esque elegance with it. It just sounds really, really nice. It works really, really well. Sonia Christina has a really nice voice as well. Like, it's very subdued here. She's just kind of speaking about Marie Antoinette and, you know, telling this story and speaking about her life. And I think that's where I get a lot of the folk element from, because I don't know why, but her voice, it sounds like it's like, oh man, I'm forgetting her name. But it doesn't sound like this person, but it's in the same circle of like the singer from Pentangle or Fairport Convention. Like, I feel it lends itself into that sphere. But it sounds really nice here. The drumming from Florian Pilkington Mixa. I love how it has this jazzy shuffle to it that moves things along, but at the same time, it never goes like crazy, like heavy or powerful, but there's always an ounce of respect played by the drums. And then Mike Wedgwood on the bass, I have to mention him. The bass playing was phenomenal. I was getting swept up in listening to how he would play alongside with Sonia and play like under her and play like under the way she's delivering the notes, but at the same time creating his own groove. Like, he was all over the place in a great way, like very controlled, always in control of the flow of the music, but always kind of off doing his own thing. I just thought that was really nice hearing him do that. Let's get to these lyrics. Marie Antoinette, your name's a legend in this land, treasure for your pleasure bestowed on favored gentlemen. The people are in arms, marching on the town. They rise chanting revolution, viva la nation. That's how she said it. Marie Antoinette, your shadows falling along the land. Anger born of hungry poisons in the hearts of your loyal men. Fire in their eyes, steel in their hands. They chant, rise, a revolution, viva la nation. There's a revolution going on. Clamoring in the square, the rabble have gone insane. They're over the balustrades to find the cannon fire. They're into the garrison. They murder the noblemen. Marie Antoinette. They're coming, and nothing's stopping them. Cannon fire's not stopping them. The balustrades, I'm assuming those are just tall walls, but let's go ahead and give that a Google because I've never seen that word in my life. All right, so it's just the decorative fencing, but I understand now. I see. Okay, I've never heard of that word, balustrade. Listen, you learn something new every day. We are the people of France. We demand that the elegant blue-blooded leeches that bleed us are taught what it means to grow fat and not feed us. We are the people of France. You must heed us. So the power is in the people, and the people are now saying, we're coming after you, the aristocracy. And this is the point in the song where the music becomes a little bit more, rockish, and Sonia is singing with a very, fast rhythmic pace to kind of give energy to this particular moment, which works very well. Already at the Bastille, the prisoners all run free. They're hammering on the door, Marie Antoinette. They've taken the guillotine. They're coming to take the queen. Marie Antoinette, the king and the guards have fled. Your shadows falling along the land. Anger born of hunger poisoned your men. They rise chanting, revolution, viva la nation. And, well, we know how that ended up, so we know where that was headed. Please clap. All right, let's move on into the next track here, which is going to be Melinda, More or Less.
Lovely lady falling, laughing down the glory of her rainbow. Lovely lady reaching, crying for the comfort of the day glow. Melinda, more or less. Melinda, more or less. Melinda, more or less in dreams.
Has that rhythm in the back is kind of steady, Western-esque.
She knows it all begins again. Sleeping, waking, rising, falling down, but calling out to deafened friends. That's how it ends. For Melinda, more or less in dreams. Melinda, more or less. Melinda, more or less in dreams.
I love the flutes violin combination. That harpsichord.
Melinda, fade into fantasy.
That's a good line. That's a good one.
Fade, Melinda, into your fantasy. Tell them you're not prepared to wait for your dream of the end. Melinda, more or less in dreams.
It's like a nice piece of classical romanticism.
Lovely lady falling, laughing down the glory of her rainbow. Lovely lady reaching, screaming for the comfort of the day glow. Melinda, more or less. Melinda, more or less.
So catchy, that rhythm.
Melinda, more or less.
That was relaxing. That made me feel so relaxed and like just very chill. I've never been to England. I've never been anywhere over on that side. But you know what that makes me think of? I'm typing it in so I can kind of give you an idea. I've never been, but it just makes me think of an English countryside. Doesn't the sound just kind of put you in this general place? Yes, with the sheep and the lambs as well. Like, it just, to me, has a classically kind of English sound. Very romantic. I love the harpsichord being played. The back and forth and harmonizations between the flutes and the violins sound really, really wonderful. It just feels really good to listen to. The flutes on this track is going to be played by Annie Stewart. And violin, I do not see it immediately. I do not see. What I do see, as I'm sitting here looking for a violin... Oh, it's here, right here, in front of me. Daryl Way is playing violin on this track. Speaking of Daryl Way, Melon, he's credited with playing the melon in the previous track. I gotta tell you, don't know what a melon sounds like. And I couldn't pick it out of whatever was happening there previously. Either way, really, really... beautiful music, really, really beautiful track here. It definitely sets me on that kind of countryside. And the movement of the bass, specifically that kind of boom, 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 the way it was playing, it makes me think of like a Western kind of country folk kind of sound. And just the way that was setting up the motion of the music put me on that kind of journey, like the wagon going over out west and like the bumps in the wagon as it's traveling over the dirt roads and everything. I don't know why, it's just making me think of that kind of Western country sound. Lovely lady falling, laughing. I guess I could bring you guys up, huh? Lovely lady falling, laughing down the glory of the rainbow. Lovely lady reaching, crying for the comfort of the day glow. Melinda more or less, Melinda more or less, Melinda more or less in dreams. So that's who she is in dreams, reaching, crying for the comfort of the day glow. But if and when she wakes again, she knows it all begins again. Sleeping, walking, rising, falling, dumb, but calling out to deafened friends. That's how it ends. Poor Melinda, more or less in dreams. So, like, in her dreams, she's having a great time. She's laughing, glory of the rainbow. She's also reaching out for comfort. But when she wakes, things aren't as good. I'm not quite sure what's happening, but her life is definitely not as good. So when she's dreaming, that's like her escape. Fade, Melinda, fade into fantasy, like falling asleep, fading into your dreams, your fantasy. Tell them you won't be played like any other instrument of fate. Tell them you're not prepared to wait for your dream of the end. Like, stand up for yourself. Tell them like you're not just going to be an instrument of fate. Tell them you're going to be your own person. You're going to do your own thing. Declare some sort of independence. Then it repeats the first line here again. However, this time, instead of lovely lady reaching, crying for the comfort of the day glow, here it's lovely lady reaching, screaming for the comfort of the day glow. So there's an escalation from not only just crying, but now screaming. So really go for this thing. Really fight for your independence. Do your own thing, girl. Yes, queen. All right, let's move on into the next track here, which is going to be Not Quite the Same. Here we go. That's your horns. The king has arrived. That's kind of fun.
So he busied himself, quite amusing himself by abusing himself.
Love her delivery.
All of his life he had wanted one true love, one girl he could wish. He poured day out all night, and alas, all the girls he'd met in his short life were girls who always quite looked like his dad's wife. So he busied himself, quite amusing himself
So musical.
by abusing himself.
Talk about a synthy sound. That is squonky. That sound so funny.
Sitting one evening wrapped up in the TV, his doggy insists that he must find a tree. So he puts on his coat and he searches around for a platinum lighter. He dropped on the ground and he bruises himself where he uses himself for abusing himself.
Holding that last note.
Out in the park he was walking his doggy. He saw a young lady who made him feel soggy. He spoke to her softly, she made not a sound, and he realized that his love she had found. She was losing herself, quite amusing herself by abusing herself.
Interesting breakdance at the end. I think it's cool how the band is taking all these different sounds and genres and mixing them all together. Here, it's almost to me like a not quite, but in the same line of like a big band kind of jazz, that big sound, especially with the horns and the pace with which this is played. It really reminds me of like New York jazz for some reason. The hurried pace of the drums, the very jazzy and quick delivery from Sonia as well. Like, I think that the way that she sings this makes this track that very fast dun 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 dun, like that very quick delivery, and then the way that she always sings the last lines of each of the stanzas. So he busied himself, quite amusing himself, and then hold it by abusing himself. Like I love that, and then back into the dun 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 dun. Like it's just a really fun kind of like creative structure to, you know, make the verses and how she's singing, and then just keep doing that pretty much the whole way through. I think that sounds amazing. That's fantastic. We got to talk about that synth that's used about halfway through. That's the squonkiest, squiggliest sound that I've heard so far. I can't even describe it, but it's definitely, once again, a sound of its times. And while the previous time I mentioned it with the other synth in the other song, like, I really like it, this one, I'm not quite feeling it as much. I don't like the sound as much. It kind of took me out. It almost gave this big band jazzy song a show tunes kind of feel, which is more leaning towards the negative side of things. I like the song as a whole. It's just the synth kind of threw me off. It was just, that sounded like it didn't belong. I don't know. That's what I feel. All right, let's see if we can figure out what's happening. Mavis couldn't quite make it on Saturday. Beryl was stuck on the tube from Victoria. Cheryl and the rest had all found new boyfriends. The only one left was the one in his head. So he busied himself, quite amusing himself, by abusing himself. All of his life, he had wanted one true love, one girl he could worship all day out, all night in. Alas, all the girls he had met in his short life were girls who had quite looked like his dad's wife. He said, well, that's not going to work. So he busied himself, quite amusing himself, and of course abusing himself. Oh dear, what a pity, what a pity, what a shame. Girls in glossy paper, never quite the same. Always saying sorry, never quite the same. Like, yeah, he can't find anyone, I guess, in real life to be with or to date. So he goes to the papers for whatever reason. I can't imagine why. And it's still not quite the same. Sitting one evening wrapped up in the TV, his doggy insists that he must find a tree. So he puts on his coat, he searches around for a platinum lighter he dropped on the ground, and he bruises himself. He's just not having a great day. Out in the park, he was walking his doggy. He saw a young woman who made him feel soggy. He spoke to her softly. She made not a sound. He realized that his mouth had been found. She was losing herself, quite amusing herself by abusing herself. So, listen, he goes searching for love, can't find it. He goes about his day, walking his dog, and all of a sudden he finds his match who is feeling the exact same way that he's been feeling. And what do you know? It all hopefully works out there in the end for the both of them. They found each other, and I'm imagining that they made each other feel quite soggy, whatever that means. Let's move on into the next track here, which is going to be Cheetah. Cheetah. The speed is definitely there on the hi-hats. Violent. That sounds good. Like the drums are fast, but they're classy the way they're played. That's fun. Oh. Some drumming. This is kind of cool. This is the cheetah stalking you. Kind of heavy. And the synth in the back is like quiet. It's a great shift. How they just keep on kind of transposing over this. Double. We're gonna let it lead into the next. What a change. This is so spacey. Just gonna speed up as much as possible, isn't Okay, well, that's how the first side of the album ended. Okay, so Ultra-Vivaldi. I've only listened to the 4 seasons from Vivaldi. I can't quite tell you if that particular melody is from that or from something else. I'm imagining that that's just a portion of something from Vivaldi, and because it's Ultra-Vivaldi, Monkman put it on. He's playing it on the keys, and then he just ultras it, just doubling the time, speeding it up until finally it just flatlines before you flip over the album. All right, that's that. Cheetah. Now, Cheetah was interesting. Cheetah was really cool. It definitely lived up to the name of Cheetah, obviously known for speed, and it was fast. It was, as soon as the hi-hats are going, you know you're in for a ride. And what a fun ride that is. The violin, Darryl Way, once again, is taking lead on it, and it just sounds so fantastic. That was like a fun track to listen to. The drums, I mentioned it, like they are playing fast from Florian, but with such class and elegance. Like, I'm imagining him playing in a suit, playing the drums here, but at the same time, every once in a while unbuttoning it so he can kind of go a little heavier. And the track was very heavy, actually, in certain moments of it. I was kind of surprised the direction it went. And obviously, the band I'm about to mention came much later than this, but this kind of sound reminds me of something that would influence perhaps like a Dream Theater. Like the way that they kept on playing on top of the melodies. I want to say that that's transposing the way that they've changed the rhythms and the drums on top of it. It was just really cool how that was done. And while that song, Cheetah, or this track is definitely Darryl Way's on the violin, like this to me is his track, I feel like as soon as it moved into Ultra-Vivaldi, it's a complete change from being Way's track into really Monkman's track, because he really took over there. Let's move on into the next side of the album, and we're going to start off with the title track, which is Phantasmagoria. Here we go. There's the organ.
I bet you sometimes wondered what was standing right behind you. Keep looking over your shoulder to see if it's there. The solemn church band pealing, some the Bristolian stealing quietly along through the night to hide under your bed.
I'm telling you.
Don't ring for a taxi. Don't call a policeman. Don't send for a doctor. He'll just give you pills. Don't hide in the cellar. You may not believe it. It's probably friendly, just alone like you.
They make the choruses so catchy, but very sophisticated. I think that's a great strength. Rip.
You run upstairs and lie there waiting for the floor to creak and something a bumpity bump up the stairs.
There's your bump.
The time has come to wonder who could be the owner of that cold clammy hand that's exploring the end of the bed.
This is a horror story.
Don't ring for a taxi. Don't call a policeman. Don't send for a doctor. He'll just give you pills. Don't hide in the cellar. You may not believe it.
It's a good Halloween album.
Just alone like you. So if you get lonely, just think of the summer and swimming in sky blue. Drift your mind
Think happy
away.
thoughts.
So when the next time comes, you feel you're being followed by a fool with a highly intelligent flair for a bet. Just turn and lead us by the hand and take it home and tell it. Take it from me that you need all the friends you can get. Don't ring for a taxi. Don't call a policeman. Don't send for a doctor. He'll just give you pills. Don't hide in the cellar. You may not believe it. It's probably friendly, just alone like you. So if you get lonely, just think of the summer and swimming in sky blue. Drift your mind away. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
It's so
La
fun.
la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
That's fun to listen to. And I'm pretty sure I should have actually let it play because the next track is titled Whose Shoulder Are You Looking Over Anyway? Which just feels like it's possibly coming off of this song. We'll find out later. All right, Phantasmagoria. I got to keep saying that. Phantasmagoria. It's one of those words. This sounds like it would be so perfect as like a Halloween song, like a lost Halloween classic. Not only because of the lyrics, but the mood of it. It has this fun and yet slightly spooky kind of vibe to it. Like this is a fun haunted house. This is like Casper, not like Hereditary. This, you know, this is fun. It's bouncy. A little ounce of, you know, what's that bumping going on at the end of my bed, but you know, fun nonetheless. It's scary fun. The organ rip is so wonderful, and then the pianos when that comes in is really nicely. I enjoyed the overall like energy of it. The drumming is once again fast paced, elegant. The way that Sonia sings and delivers is so wonderful. I love the la 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 at the very end, and then at the end of each of those stanzas, the ba ba ba. It's just really catchy how the music is performed and obviously sung and structured. But I'm noticing that with like even thinking about the previous tracks, how it's catchy. There's choruses, but it's not just like the words that are catchy. It's the melodies and the way that they're constructing that. I can't help but use this word again. It's just laced with elegance. There's actual thoughts and grace kind of put into it. It's very graceful. I guess that's the word I'm thinking of. One of them. Let's look at these lyrics. La, 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 la. It's so catchy. I bet you sometimes wondered what was standing right behind you. Keep looking over your shoulder to see if it's there. A sullen church bell pealing, some the risk of feeling and stealing quietly alone through the night to hide under your bed. Don't ring for a taxi, don't call a policeman, don't send for a doctor. He'll just give you pills. See, like, there's also like this musical aspect to it. Like, not literally musical, like, yeah, duh. But like, it sounds like the way that the music is performed, the way that she sings could be in a musical. It could have its place on stage, in a play, and, theater. Don't hide in the cellar. You may not believe it. It's probably friendly, just alone like you. You're scared of the monster, in your basement under your bed, but, it's probably friendly. It's probably scared and alone, just like you are right now. You run upstairs and lie there waiting for the floor to creak, and something goes bumpity bump up the stairs. The time has come to wonder who could the owner of that be. Cold, clammy hand that's exploring the end of your bed. So you go upstairs, you're waiting, and you hear a little bump up the stairs. You're saying, who's that? So if you get lonely, just think of the summer and swimming in sky blue. Drift your mind away. So just distract yourself. Think happy thoughts. So when the next time comes, you feel you're being followed by a ghoul with a highly intelligent flair for effect. Like the ghost or whatever's haunting you, it has some flair to it. It has some drama to it. It's not just coming up there. It's going to like make some noise, maybe flicker a light here or there. It wants to come up with some flair. Just turn and lead it by the hand and lead it home and tell it, take it from me that you need all the friends you can get. That's hilarious. That would actually be a great movie. When the ghost comes for you and you're feeling scared, just take it by the hand, take it home and say, hey, you need all the friends you can get, just like me. That's a great line. This is a good song. This is, right now, title track is my favorite track on the album. This one was really, really good. Let's go ahead and dive into the next song. I'm going to let the last few seconds of Phantasmagoria play before it gets into the next track, which is Whose Shoulder Are You Looking Over Anyway? Let's just see how it leads. See, it kind of.
Looking over my shoulder to see if it's there.
See?
I can keep looking over your shoulder to see if I'm there.
It's kind of scary. This is Twilight Zone-esque. Definitely Twilight Zone-esque.
I can keep looking over your shoulder to see if I'm there.
You think that choppy, glitchy sound is him playing the synth or an organ? And then like constantly cutting it on and off volume-wise? Like he's playing and then...
But when I was a little girl, a very tired magazine, each seated on his favorite post, he just ensured the button posts they gave him for our tune. A very tired magazine, each seated on his favorite post, he just ensured the button posts they gave him. Each seated on his favorite post, a very tired magazine, each seated on his favorite post.
This is what the aliens must sound like? I'm waiting for like an explosion or something. I don't really have much to say on this track. It's definitely a continuation because this is definitely the ghost kind of talking and all this stuff happening. I'm just gonna let it go to the next track, it just makes sense, which is Over and Above. Yeah, still continuing. Maybe this whole side goes together. Definitely it does. This whole track is definitely... This whole side is definitely made to be together. See, it's playful spooky. Like the xylophone. With the playfulness. Trying to catch it.
Watch the dawn of the distant sun tells us now that our night is gone. Senses numbed by the blinding light, countless stars vanish into night. Far away on a distant star, midnight chimes to a sleeping world. Far away on a distant star, life begins in 1,000 years.
That loungy sound when it comes through is just so like tastefully melodic. There you go. I was relaxed. Now that ghost is back with the violin just sawing away.
We watch the universe extend throughout an age.
said fly, it opens up. The violin starts flying. I thought this was violin, but no, it's a synth. It just sounds very violin-esque. Riffing. Every time the horns come in, it's like this extra horror element. And then now it's like the smooth jazzy element. But still spooky, still sounds haunting. They're layering on each other. That's this heavy stomp. Vocals on top of that heaviness. This is the finale, you can feel the climax. Guitar came in me. I'm gonna let this track go into the next one, the last one. I think you have to. Let it go to the final track. Once a ghost, always a ghost. You know what? It changed enough, even though I do think that the whole second side is like really thematically together. Maybe the whole second side, I really think it's like a concept as like in full. But the final track, it does sound a little bit different enough that I want to talk about the previous ones before we dive into the final track, just so I don't forget everything I want to say. Okay. So whose shoulder you're looking over anyway? That's the experimental break that combines this whole second side of the album, but still gives us some insight into the lore of the second side of the album. That's where you just have these weird vocalizations put through some sort of filter. Who knows what's going on? I couldn't tell you. But that is where I figured out, okay, this whole side must be together in some capacity. So there's not really much to look at, or to talk about, rather, musically on that particular section, but at least so we have the lyrics. But I keep going over my shoulder to see if it's there, but you keep looking over your shoulder to see if I'm there. Oh, when I was a little ghost, a merry time had we. Each seated on his favorite post, we chumped and chawed the buttered toast they gave us for tea. So This is continuing the whole, haunted house, this ghost that's watching over. I love the lines, I'm looking over my shoulder for you, and you keep looking over for me. So the person is scared of the ghost is scared of the person, and, they just need to figure it out. Then, when it moves into the next track here, when it moves into Over and Above, that's when everything comes back. That's when the music comes back in full. And this would work so perfectly for a Halloween, second side of the album. In some ways, the whole album, but this side especially. I love how it has this extended jam to really go off. I like the climax at the end, the way the horns are used, especially the big heaviness. When that comes in at the end, the ba, ba, bum, 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 bum. When it goes into that finale, it feels really, really good. It's really heavy. It's a nice climax to kind of end. In a sense, I don't want to say it's a suit because I'm not seeing anything here that it is, but it feels very much like a suit just because of the concept and the way it's moving there. That feels like a great climax to that, with the final song on the album perhaps being like that resolution to kind of wrap everything up. But I thought that was really wonderful. The vibes or the xylophone that are being played, that's by Frank Riccotti, who's playing that. And I love what's added into the music when he comes in, because at some points the music moves between that heavy sound and then into something I hear as like a lounge, jazzish kind of feel. So the whole ending, when it's going on between those instrumentally, it feels really good kind of playing in that contrast. I'm just really quickly looking at the Wikipedia article for Frank Riccotti, because I don't believe I've ever heard of him. But I see here that he's worked with Hans Zimmer. That's actually really cool. There's a few other names here I do not recognize. He's recorded with Freddie Mercury, Pet Shop Boys, Art of Noise, Rick Wakeman, Oasis, Mark Knopfler. He's worked with a lot of different people I'm seeing here, which is really cool. Brian Ferry, Peter Frampton. The list goes on. I could sit here listing different artists he's worked with all day, but it sounds really wonderful what he brings. I love how the horns start off small and then, like I said, by the end are dramatic and bombast. There's a lot happening in this track, but it's all good. The violin, to die for, like, no pun intended with the ghost thing, but it's just this really nice epic that ends this particular part of the journey. Let's dive into the lyrics here. One fine night I left my soul to journey on the wind. Far beyond the stars I watched to see where it would go. In the twilight realms of space, spirits known but no face, eyes to see, no hands to place around the ether. Try and grasp the meaning, why and wherefore of this world. Rested for a while to see which way the wind would blow, found ourselves, my soul and I, upon an unknown moon. Barren rocks and ashes strewn like the ashes of the mind, soaring off once more to see if we could find there, looking for somewhere something that would bring us peace. So these are the ghosts. This is the spirits searching, traveling, trying to find a resting place instead of haunting that house. Watch the dawn of a distant sun tells us now that our night is gone. Senses numbed by a blinding light, countless stars vanish into night. Far away on a distant star, midnight chimes to a sleeping world. Far away on a distant star, life begins in 1,000 years. So perhaps a reincarnation of some sort. Freed, we watch the universe extend throughout an age. Dared not think if this is freedom, build yourself a cage. Freedom only of mind, there exists no other kind. Fettered in your flesh, your mind escape is pointless. Like as long as you're alive, as long as you're bound to your body, then you're not really free. Freedom only comes when you're free in your mind. Prison bar is meaningless when you find your soul can fly. Like, if you are able to free your mind in whatever capacity that means, if you're able to free your mind, then you can free your soul. Then you're truly free. But if you're only thinking fleshly, earthly, then you're never going to be free. You got to free your mind. Something like that. All right, let's now dive into the final song, the final track of the album, and that is going to be Once a Ghost, Always a Ghost. Let me back it up since I did let it play just a little bit into this track. Here we go. This is a dead man's party. Someone call Oingo Boingo. It really is.
Once upon a time I stumbled on a master plan. Better than the time machines in port to understand.
See how the catchy rhythms in the vocals. There's your vibes. There's almost a gongish kind of sound to it now I'm listening to it. This just feels like we're listening to a party. They're having a great time though. Horns taking over the chorus melody, or the first melody. Smooth it out. Say bring that wine over here. Hot shoe? They just sneeze? Okay, so Once a Ghost is definitely the resolution of this side of the album, of course. And I love how different it is from the previous tracks. So the previous ones had this spooky, haunted, still fun, but kind of sound to it. And I was thinking, like, obviously this is definitely part of the whole story and concept. But the way that the previous track just stopped, there is a pause, and then it leads to this, and it sounds so different. The tracks don't really flow together, right? As the previous three did. But I think it makes sense because even though the concept's still the same, the feeling and the emotion is completely different. This is that freedom that was found. This is the party. This is satisfaction and elation and that happiness. So I think that hard stop with the previous emotions and sounds works really well in continuing the story because the emotions are so different. This one's so fun. It's so snappy. The vibes return with beautiful, like relaxation, that loungy kind of vibe. But the verse and the way it's sung is just as energetic as ever. It's so fun. The horns that come in. Like, it's just a really nice roundup and wrap up to the whole story and to everything that came before, and ending in a happy, positive kind of manner. I think it's really well. I still think that is so catchy. Da 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 ba ba ba, and then how it's played along that. I like how that rhythm continues into the break in the middle of the song, and then the vibes begin to solo on top of it, and different things are done with that. I think that worked really well, and I just think that it's a really solid conclusion to the album at this point. Once upon a time, I stumbled on a master plan, better than a time machine, simple to understand. Just consume a pint of this and one or two of these. Head and arm and hand will haunt the seven seas. This is such a great line. We're talking about these ghosts and, where are they going to find their final resting place and such. And the imagery of these ghosts, head and arm. I mean, I guess that could be a reference to Marie Antoinette. Is this whole album a concept album, actually thinking about it? Maybe. I don't know. Like Marie's holding her head in her arm, and then hand in hand. The other hand is holding each other, these ghosts. And we'll haunt the seven seas. Hey, that's a pretty open concept, open place to haunt. If you choose, we can confuse your favorite enemy. Find a dungeon with a pungent tropicality. Now they're thinking about the way to haunt their enemies. Waft about and groan a bit and make him feel at ease. Head and arm, hand in hand, will haunt the seven seas. Isn't it original to be invisible? Be a ghost and make the most of when you come to call. Nobody will know you're there unless you care to sneeze. Head and arm, hand in hand, will haunt the seven seas. I like that. No one will even know we're there unless we choose to sneeze or make a noise, make a random bump in the night. I think that is hilarious. I love the way that they take this concept and have really run with it throughout this whole side, but perhaps throughout this whole album. I didn't see anything here that this is a concept album or anything like that. And even in looking at the lyrics, I do believe that the whole head and arm is a reference to this, but maybe it is a concept album. I never really thought about it. I didn't read the other lyrics as being that. I don't think this. I think it's more the second side. That's a concept, or at least thematic, because I don't see for example, what this song has to do with the overall concept. Maybe I'm diving too deep. Maybe I'm not diving deep enough. But either way, you listened to the album with me, so thank you guys so much for checking out Phantasmagoria with me from Curved Air. I hope that you enjoyed it. Of course, if you did, press the like button. If you didn't, press the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. You can support what I do on Patreon for as little as $2 a month. You do not have to. You can just sit back, relax, listen to some good music with me. Hope that you enjoyed the reaction. Hope that you enjoyed the video. Come back tomorrow. I'll get something for you. Don't know what it is, but I'll get something for you. And have a great rest of your day, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.